Hi, I'm Tracy Koga with something short and fun. This is a Hugh Soundbite. Wow, 2020 is already here, and it is a very, very special year because it's leap year. So on February 29th, it'll be the 13th annual Rare Disease Day around the world. But here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, we're going to be celebrating it too as well. So I've got some very special guests here today. I've got Debbie Dutka representing the Rare Disease Foundation Manitoba chapter, Blair Yakimowski, who's going to share his own very personal story, and the lovely and very, very informative Dr. Cheryl Greenberg. I'm going to start with the doctor. What classifies as a rare disease, Cheryl?
Well, thanks very much for having us, Tracy. I just want to start by saying we're here in the family room of the Children's Hospital Research Institute of Manitoba. This research institute, supports research into diseases that affect children and ultimately their families and adults. And many of the diseases that are researched here at the Children's Hospital Research Institute are rare. So what is a rare disease? Well, if you add up all the rare diseases, there are probably 6,000 different rare diseases. Most of them are genetic, hence my involvement as a geneticist and also as a pediatrician, and many of them affect children. For most of them, we do not know the cause, and if you don't know the cause, you often don't know how to treat it. But that has dramatically changed over the past several decades. And in particular, the International Rare Disease Day, represents the bringing together of researchers and doctors such as myself, families affected by rare diseases, as well as, the chapter here in Manitoba that helps support the families. So today on International Rare Disease Day, we're bringing together everybody involved in rare diseases and really to increase awareness and ultimately into discovery of new diagnoses and new treatments for rare diseases. And this is, of course, what the foundation of a research institute is all about.
Correct. Debbie, so what is your connection with all of this, and why are you part of the Rare Disease Foundation?
So I have a grandson who has a rare disease. It was found when he was 5 days old. Well, actually, I guess 2 days old, but 5 days old, he was quite sick, and we'd gotten a call saying he had a rare metabolic disease called galactosemia, and it affects 1 in 60,000 kids. So just that alone scared the whole family, and we didn't know how to handle it. So we were put in touch with Rare Disease Foundation through doctors and nurses and resources. And I wasn't very much involved in the beginning because I was kind of scared and hesitant. But as my grandson got older and I'm his primary caregiver, I needed more resources involved. So I got very much more involved and became one of the co-chairs.
Oh, nice. So what did the foundation do for you? And then now let's talk about the Manitoba chapter and what you are now giving back to.
So the Rare Disease Foundation is a parents group in BC. They've been going on for 10 years. They have a lot of resources with all the different doctors, therapists, resources that are available for all families. People with rare diseases don't always have a diagnosis, so they support them with that. They help bring awareness. And they support our Manitoba chapter along with all the other chapters across Canada. So in our case, our chapter is still fairly new and young. It's growing, but more on the social media side.
Right.
We're eventually going to be having group meetings once a month, supports. We go find resources. We go visit families in the hospital, or we support them when they're having a lot of medical issues. In my case right now, we're dealing with the education, and then some of them we have to also deal with having to get medication that they need if there is some available, which isn't very often.
Yes, and I guess that can be a very big problem too, right? And cost and everything that involved. Blair, I'm just going to pass it over to you now. Former politician, but always a politician at heart, but always on the outside, very active, very vibrant, you're always committed, but there is a stronger story why you're very, very vocal about Rare Disease Day.
Yeah, because I have a rare disease. I have a condition called hereditary angioedema, and it causes localized swelling. It could be the hands, the feet. Sometimes my intestines will swell, which is extremely painful, or it can be life-threatening when my throat swells. So a time like Rare Disease Day and a Rare Disease Foundation can bring attention to diseases. So it's a time, it's a day in the year where we can give thanks to the people who are doing the research. There are new medications that I have now that I will call miracle drugs, and there's new research going on for different types that are easier to administer, but also to thank those friends and family and researchers who are supporting us. My wife takes care of me whenever I need an infusion of the medicine. Thank you to her for doing that. But as a politician, if I can bring attention to the disease, or we can find a way to create an advocacy so that there can be more investment in research, more investment in treatment options. I was fortunate, I was asked a couple years ago to attend the Network of Rare Blood Disorders, a conference in Ontario. And I went there as a new politician. I was on a panel, and the question was, what can they do to advocate with politicians to get drugs approved? Well, I spoke on the panel, and not realizing it, a year later, someone came to me and said, the information that you gave us, we used that when we went to British Columbia and we got a new drug approved. Wow. So it's creating the talk, the discussion, and also when you're part of a rare disease, growing up for me and for my family, my mom has it, my sister has it, I have some cousins who have it.
Can you get tested for it? I mean, and you have a family too?
We get tested fairly young, and we're actually fortunate. It stops at my generation. My cousins and that, I've been fortunate, I have 3 children, none of them have the disease. My other cousins, through not having children or adopting or the luck of the draw, haven't passed it on either. So when you have this disease, when I was growing up, we always considered it our sickness. And then we had an event with one of the drug companies, I think it was either CSL Behring or Shire, had an information. And I'm in a room with 30 other people, and many of them have disease. You're no longer alone. Even though your disease is rare, you're not alone. There's other people who have it. And when I was a politician, I met people like Debbie who, learning about tough to say diseases, galactosemia, or speech apraxia, or apraxia of speech. A friend of mine who has familial polyposis. You find more people that have this, and you connect, and you're there to support each other. So,
well, it's again, it's just all about talking and communication. So, Debbie, the big day on February 29th here in Manitoba.
Definitely.
What's going to happen?
Well, we're trying to organize something possibly at Sky. It's not confirmed yet, so don't quote me on that, but it will be on social media, and it will be advertised through the media itself. We also were looking at possibly having some venues that we had at the very beginning when we first were advertising Rare Disease Day, and that was at the malls. So we're going to try to bring some more attention to that. It's all about awareness.
It is, yes.
One of the things that I really, when I first started bringing out Rare Disease Day, was I sat in a Safeway mall, and I was talking to a family, and just being able to connect with them. It doesn't matter, I can't say his rare disease either, but
I know.
We all understand the same thing. We all have the same struggles. So it brings comfort to all of us, like other parents, people with their kids. We all face the same struggles, the challenges, having to access the resources or the medications or the schooling, all these kind of things, and we have to do the same fight, regardless as with politicians.
A big smile. If people,
Blair's our biggest advocate.
well,
I know.
And there are other politicians that,
Yes.
because of my connection as an elected official in the past, I have that in, and I know a lot of other elected officials in Manitoba, and we'll be connecting with them and making sure that they're aware of it on that day. Right. One of the things that we talk about on rare disease, because it's often rare genetic disorders. So we say, put your genes out there. Show us your genes. That's why I'm wearing my jeans
so
today.
I want to, yeah.
So if we can get
show your genes.
Yeah, if we can get other politicians, I'm going to be talking to many of my former colleagues in the Manitoba legislature, as well as the members of parliament and city councillors, and let them know and bring attention to it on February 29th, which is a rare day.
Definitely. Debbie, if people want more information, where can they go to?
So we do have a Facebook page. It's Manitoba Family Rare Diseases. At the same time, we will have it advertised on different social medias. They can also get a hold of their genetic doctors and nurses, because they will have the information available to them too.
Perfect. Yes, so just give Dr. Cheryl Greenberg a phone call, but anything, last words, Cheryl, to wrap up?
Well, I think Debbie and Blair really summed it all up, but the significance of International Rare Disease Day. And although each individual rare disease is very rare, when you add them all together, probably 1 in 10 and 1 in 12 people have a rare disease. And as a clinician, as a researcher, having partnerships with families and people in government is absolutely essential to be able to move this field forward and to ensure people with rare diseases have access to the same resources and drugs as people with common diseases.
Well, I thank all of you and everyone. February 29th, show your genes. It's Rare Disease Day. And again, just make your voice heard and communicate with those that do have a family member suffering from a rare disease, because your words and your comfort are all good.